It was a cold, heavy night in Denver, Colorado. The kind that made the city feel smaller, quieter, almost sealed off by the falling snow. Inside an apartment complex on Albion Street, the laughter from a birthday party had just faded into the early hours of January 21st, 2018. But not long after, that same apartment would become a crime scene. At 3:30 in the morning, police lights painted streaks of red and blue across the white snow. Neighbors peeked through blinds, confused and frightened. Someone had heard screaming. Someone had heard a door slam. And then, silence. Our heart goes out to the family of Clarissa Wilkins during this difficult time as we remember her warmth, kindness, and the lasting impact she had on everyone who knew her. Losing a young life under such heartbreaking circumstances is something no family should ever have to endure. Our thoughts are with those mourning his loss, and we hope they find strength and comfort amidst the grief. This is True Crime Diaries, where we delve deep into the most chilling and complex criminal cases, bringing you the untold stories behind the headlines. Join us as we uncover the facts, the twists, and the shocking truths behind some of the darkest moments in history. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more gripping stories. Let us know your thoughts below. We'd love to hear from you. When officers arrived at apartment 105, they found a young woman lying on the bedroom floor, lifeless, a single gunshot wound to the head. Her name was Clarissa Wilkins, 30 years old, a mother, a wife, and by all accounts, a bright, warm presence in every room she entered. Just a few feet away sat her husband, 43-year-old Cain Wilkins, sobbing, shaking, and clinging to her body. He kept repeating the same sentence. It just went off. The gun just went off. But as officers surveyed the room, something felt wrong. The story didn't fit the scene. Hours earlier, everything had seemed normal, even joyful. Friends gathered for Cain's birthday at the Wilkins apartment. Music, drinks, laughter. The kind of night meant to shake off the cold. Clarissa, or Claire, as everyone called her, was glowing that evening.
The party of where this incident had happened, and I was saying goodbye to him, listening to some of his band music, and Cain came in and said that his wife.
Where's the weapon? Where's the weapon at, sir?
I have no idea. We haven't seen it yet, but you won't have to find it because he's devastated. So I think
She was known for her kindness, her humor, and how deeply she loved her 4-year-old daughter, who was staying with her grandmother that night. Guests said the couple seemed happy. There was no shouting, no visible tension. At one point, conversation turned towards something casual. Firearms. Cain, who owned several, offered to show them off. He led 2 guests to the bedroom, unlocked his gun safe, and took out each weapon one by one. Everyone handled them, even Claire. At that moment, they were all unloaded. It was just a birthday night among friends, until it wasn't. Just after 3 a.m., a woman in the building placed a frantic call to 911. A man had burst into her friend's apartment, hysterical, screaming that his wife was hurt, that the gun had gone off. When police followed her back to apartment 105, they stepped into a scene that didn't make sense. Claire was on the floor near the bed, blood pooling beneath her head. The gun, a .40 caliber handgun, was lying on the opposite side of the bed, close to the open gun safe. Inside the safe were other weapons: 2 shotguns, a .22 rifle, and a 9mm Smith & Wesson that still held around in the chamber. When officers picked it up, they noticed blood near the barrel. A single shell casing lay on the carpet where Claire's body had fallen. A picture frame was shattered in the corner. A fan and laundry basket tipped over nearby. There were signs of a struggle, small but telling ones. Cain was immediately detained. His behavior was erratic, emotional, unsteady, slurred. He'd been drinking. A later test confirmed a high blood alcohol content, though still lower than Claire's, whose level was 3 times the legal driving limit. As officers swabbed Cain's hands for gunshot residue, he continued to cry out, "She shot herself!" I tried to stop her.
Right in here, back here. Stand up.
you tell me some answers, man. What the fuck's going on with my wife? I hear a pop and I run into the room and I have to... What the fuck is going on with my wife? I got blood all over me.
Hold on, man.
Yeah, go ahead. Here. There's my fingers all the way open. There's a 9mm SD9VE inside the house. We both have fingerprints on them.
Okay, turn up. There we go. Thank you.
Just gonna feel a little bit of sticky. It's not gonna leave it.
Can somebody tell me what's going on with my wife?
Just a few minutes, okay?
Few minutes.
Yeah.
Go back outside.
Okay.
Yeah, let me go sit out here in my fucking truck.
We're going back to the car.
Yeah, in my truck.
What kind of phone do you have? Because they found one that's not sure if it's yours or not in that manager's apartment or whatever.
I want to know about my fucking wife.
What color is your phone? I want to make sure you get it back. Okay. Yeah, I want to make sure you get it back.
My wife.
I know.
But he couldn't explain why the gun was on the far side of the bed, or why the safety was engaged, or why the wound was behind her right ear. A location difficult for a right-handed person to reach if it were self-inflicted. Outside, snow kept falling. Inside, every minute brought more questions. Before tragedy turned her name into a headline, Clarissa was simply Claire, a daughter, a wife, a mother, a friend. She grew up in Aurora, Colorado, graduating from Rangeview High School in 2006. She was known for her laugh, her loyalty, and the kind of heart that always made room for others. In her 20s, she met Cain Wilkins, 13 years her senior, divorced and already a father of 2. They fell in love quickly. In 2011, they married, blending their families and building a new life together. For a while, things looked good. On social media, Cain often posted about his wife and children. "I am a blessed man. Not rich, not poor. I have a roof, food, a job that kicks my butt, and a family that keeps me smiling. May all of you be as blessed as I feel every day." But behind the public posts and birthday photos, their marriage carried cracks no one could see. Cracks that would widen with time. When detectives canvassed the building, a pattern emerged. Several neighbors said they were woken by shouting around 3:10 a.m. They heard a woman scream, "No, no, no!" followed by a man yelling, "Get in here now!" Then silence. One neighbor said it sounded like a door had slammed. Another thought it was something falling down the stairs. And then came the bang.
Breathing. And Cain had come back from my apartment and was lying there screaming and hollering on the hall, and I yelled at him for him to get his ass up because she was still breathing.
He was in the hallway?
Yes, he'd come back from my apartment and like screaming in the hallway, and I went over and Claire was still breathing.
Where was Claire at exactly?
On the right-hand side of the bed. It would have been the north-hand side of the bed.
Okay.
And she was still breathing, and I screamed at him like, just get your, like, trying to motivate, I don't need you to cry right now. I need you to handle this. Go handle Claire. And I made sure, and I was like,
Where was Cain at?
in the hallway.
Okay.
And I said, you need to get your ass up here. Get in here and take care of your wife. We're gonna make sure we put the police on the way. Just do this, trying to move his consciousness, you know, to like.
And then what happened?
It didn't work.
Okay. Did he go back into the apartment?
He stayed there until you arrived.
He stayed where?
On her body.
So you want you to stay, or I want you to stay, or?
He made a specific statement that it wasn't really about her, it was about him.
Okay.
And
you just
oh,
politely said good night.
yes, sir, and got up and gave her a hug and thanked her. Did the same to him.
Police noted how every neighbor's account matched, but none could agree on whether the screams came before or after the gunshot. Still, it was enough to raise suspicion. If there had been a fight, what was it about? And why would a woman pleading no moments before her death be ruled an accident or suicide? When questioned, Cain's story stayed simple. He said after the party ended, he and Claire cleaned up. He packed leftovers. She tidied the bedroom. He claimed he was in the kitchen when he heard the pop. He ran in to find her on the floor. He said he never saw the gun. He never heard her say anything, and he didn't remember touching the weapon afterward. But evidence from the scene and from his own hands told a different story. Gunshot residue tests showed particles on both of Cain's hands. None were found on Claire's. The 9mm handgun, not the .40 caliber found on the floor, turned out to be the weapon that killed her, and that gun had been put back into the safe after the shooting, with blood still on it.
It was just a piece of paper and it's a cheap black frame.
Okay. So that picture was broken. Do you know why that picture was broken?
No, there was no glass on it, but
Yeah, there was a glass.
not in that one. There was never glass in the one with my son. Not that I.
So maybe I'm describing the one. There's a big void in the hallway wall where the closet pictures are.
Yeah.
And it looked like that picture went there. And it was a picture of an African-American gentleman.
Yeah, sitting there holding his diploma.
And you in it.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's broken in that room. Do you know why it's broken?
No, I don't, because it was fine all evening, and I wouldn't break a picture of my son and I, you know.
That doesn't make sense. So, okay. Overall, the department's very neat and tidy. I mean, it looks like everything has its place.
Yeah.
We also found that there were a couple other things knocked over in the room. Do you know what that
I don't
was, or
know what
caused that?
No, not at all. And what was knocked down, I have no idea, because I didn't hear anything, any commotions or anything, you know.
Okay. For one, if you don't remember,
Correct. I do not remember.
For one, the stand-up fan was knocked over.
That could have been when I went running in. I don't know.
Okay. And then also there was a laundry basket that was knocked over.
Laundry basket, which was next to the white freezer.
Mm-hmm.
It was stacked up pretty high because we hadn't done laundry in a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah. Could you remember that being knocked over?
No, I didn't.
And that's in the same area where the picture frame was found knocked over.
I want to know.
Okay. Well, she shot in the back of the head.
In the back of the head?
In the back of the head.
I don't know.
Which caused a little bit of a problem.
What? Where in the back of the head?
In the back of the head.
Well, where?
In the back of the head.
You gotta be joking me.
No, not joking. So that's the problem, Mr. Wilkins.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
What I have a problem with is where the gun was found.
Where was that found?
Well, you were the only one in the apartment.
I don't know where it was.
Okay, but we agree you were the only one in the apartment.
Yes, we were the only two.
Okay, it was found nowhere near her.
Oh, Jesus.
So that's where we have a problem, Mr. Wilkins.
Well, you guys obviously have an opinion that I did this or something to my wife.
That's why I'm asking. That's why I asked for the second interview, is because I want these blanks filled in.
And I wanted to come in. When I told you that I only remember diving across that bed, holding her, seeing her, and then running for help, I can't remember anything else. I can't remember what I did. If I knocked over a fan, if I did anything running in there.
Okay. And so you know that GSR test that we do?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know what that's about, or do you know how to do that?
Gun residue.
Gunshot residue.
Yeah.
Okay, and so what they did is they dab your hands, and I think they dab your face, and they determine whether or not you were in an environment where a gunshot was, where a gun went off. Okay? And so those tests are going to show if you were in the room at that time for the shooting.
Okay. And
how do you think those tests are going to come back?
I don't know. You know, the only thing I did that I remember is actually handling the guns earlier.
All right. Well, gunshot residue doesn't go around corners to down a hallway to the living room. I'm telling you that.
Okay, I understand that.
Detectives knew then that whoever pulled the trigger had also locked the gun away. As police pieced together the night, they found the contradictions piling up. Friends described the Wilkinses as loving, though not without issues. One woman, Claire's childhood friend, said the couple's relationship had always felt unbalanced. Cain was older, controlling. Once, before their daughter was born, an argument got so bad that Claire called police while Cain locked himself in a room with a loaded gun. It wasn't the image of the happy marriage that Cain painted. Then came the witness who placed the 911 call. The woman who had been the last to leave the party. She said Cain had been insistent, almost pushy, about her staying longer that night. He'd invited her to hang out, and when she politely declined, Claire seemed uncomfortable. Cain had said it was his birthday and that the night should be about him. The invitation felt awkward, even inappropriate.
This is very relevant as I'm sitting here. And maybe, I don't know, but I'm going to vocalize it. I was hit on by them to stay with them this evening. I had to ask, and I don't know her name. I want to say her name was Marissa, because she approached me. And Cain was in the kitchen. I was really delicate, and I don't know how to say, I've never been approached. Okay, I'm not like this. So she seemed, how to say, I don't know. I was more sympathetic with her to tell her I appreciated it. It was, thank you very much, because I asked her, I'm like, I gotta read in between the lines because I don't understand what you guys are. I'm trying to exit. I'm trying to leave. And I didn't understand what she was saying. I kept asking, I'm like, are you okay? What are you saying to me? You know, what's going on? And when I put two and two together, because he was standing in the kitchen, he's like, we want you to stay over. You stay for a while. I go, oh, and I looked at her, I go, oh.
What is she saying though? But how's she saying it?
She's kind of whispering all delicately, like, you know, like it's okay, don't worry. And I didn't understand what she was making me worry about because it didn't make any sense. So when I heard his comment, I go, okay, I'm going to read between the lines here. I'm going to put two and two together. And I looked at both of them and I said, thank you very much. And I touched her hand and thank you very much, but I'm not, I don't know how to be diplomatic with these people without insulting someone. I'm not that kind of a person. So I told him I was flattered. But no, the answer was no. He seemed irritated that he wasn't getting his way because he made a comment, well, it's really not about her, and this is his wife, it's about me because of my birthday. She understood. She said that was fine. She said that she understood that I'm not like that. I'm not bi-curious. And I told her I didn't want to hurt her feelings. And Cain kept inviting me, and I told him no. I go, it isn't like this. I go, this is a big conflict of interest. This is not. And I go, I want to say my goodnights. I said my goodnights.
Within minutes of her leaving, the woman heard Cain's screams echo down the hallway. She's dead! She's dead! When Cain returned to the station later that morning, detectives had more than enough reason to doubt him. The autopsy confirmed that the shot had entered behind Claire's right ear, not at a close range. There was no soot, no stippling, no residue. The gun had been fired from at least 2 feet away. So if Claire had shot herself, how could the gun end up across the bed? And who had cleaned and stored it before police arrived? Detectives confronted Cain with the inconsistencies, the broken picture frame, the disarrayed bedroom, the gun locked away, the GSR on his hands, and his story began to shift. Maybe, he said, he wasn't in the kitchen the whole time. Maybe he was walking back and forth from the bedroom. He wasn't sure. He'd been drinking heavily. Was it trauma? Or a convenient gap in memory? No one could tell. By dawn, the pieces pointed to only one person. Cain Wilkins was arrested and charged with first-degree murder. As news spread, the community was stunned. A husband who had posted about blessings and love was now accused of killing his wife after his own birthday party. Family friends struggled to reconcile the man they knew with the crime he was accused of, but detectives believed the motive was jealousy and humiliation. They theorized that when Claire refused to go along with a sexual request involving the party guest, Cain's anger spiraled. What began as a drunken argument turned fatal. Still, the evidence wasn't as clear-cut as prosecutors wanted it to be. There was no eyewitness, no confession, no video, only fragments, each open to interpretation. But sometimes truth hides in those fragments. If you're following this far, what do you think? Was it an accident or murder? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to subscribe to True Crime Diaries, where every story has a pulse. The Denver courthouse sat under gray January skies when the trial of Cain Wilkins began. Inside, the atmosphere was heavy. The case had divided opinions from the moment the 911 call came in. To some, Cain was a broken man who'd lost control for one drunken second. To others, he was a manipulative husband who'd hidden behind tears and confusion. Either way, one truth hung in the air. Clarissa Wilkins was dead, and someone had to answer for it. When prosecutors stood before the jury, they spoke softly at first. They didn't need theatrics. The facts were dramatic enough. They painted a picture of a woman trying to hold her marriage together, a wife who had become the breadwinner after her husband stopped working, a mother raising her daughter while living with a man who grew more controlling with time. Then they told the jury what they believed had really happened that night. According to the state, Cain Wilkins wasn't celebrating his birthday. He was testing boundaries. After drinks and laughter, he suggested something that turned the room cold, a sexual invitation to another woman, an invitation Claire wanted no part of. When that woman declined, Cain's mood shifted. He was embarrassed, angry, and behind closed doors, that anger turned lethal. They said he shot Claire during an argument, then tried to stage the scene, placing the gun back into the safe, hiding evidence, and calling for help only when he realized what he'd done. The defense had a different version. They told the jury this was a tragic accident, or at worst, a drunken blur of confusion. Cain, they said, loved his wife deeply. There was no evidence of premeditation, no history of violence that night. Yes, the couple had issues, like any marriage, but nothing to suggest murder. They reminded jurors of the broken memories that alcohol can create. Cain had been drinking heavily. Claire's blood alcohol content was sky high. The defense argued that she may have handled the gun herself, possibly as a dark joke or a reckless moment of intoxication gone wrong. And when it went off, Cain panicked. He might have touched the gun in shock, trying to protect his daughter from ever seeing such horror. That, they said, explained the gunshot residue on his hands and the weapon placed back in the safe. Drunken chaos, the defense called it. Not cold-blooded murder, but evidence is stubborn. It doesn't bend easily to emotion. Crime scene photos showed the gun safe open, the 9mm handgun placed neatly inside. Blood spotted the barrel, faint but clear. The casing on the floor matched that weapon. Forensics showed that Claire's wound was to the back of her right ear, fired from more than 2 feet away. If she'd pulled the trigger herself, her arm would have had to twist backward at an unnatural angle. Nearly impossible. There was no soot, no stippling, no trace of close contact fire. And then there was the picture frame, shattered. The tipped-over fan, the overturned laundry basket. Each small clue whispered of struggle. To prosecutors, those weren't coincidences. They were echoes of a fight, one that ended with a single deadly shot. The jury heard from neighbors first. Each told the same story. A woman's voice yelling, "No, no, no." A man shouting, "Get back here." Then a bang. Next came friends, people who'd been at the party earlier that night. One testified that Cain had insisted another guest stay after the party, despite his wife's discomfort. He kept saying it was his birthday, that the night was about him, the witness said. He didn't seem drunk, just pushy. Then came Claire's childhood friend, who had reconnected with her just months before the tragedy. She told the court about a past incident when Claire called police after Cain locked himself in a room with a loaded gun during an argument. The courtroom grew still. That moment, years earlier, suddenly felt like a warning no one had taken seriously. When Cain took the stand, his voice trembled. He described waking up in jail after his arrest, not believing what had happened. He said he loved Claire more than life itself. He said the night had been good, full of laughter, until he heard that pop. "I ran in and she was on the floor," he said. "I tried to hold her, but she was gone. I don't even remember putting the gun back. I was drunk." Terrified, the prosecution pressed him. Why was there blood on the gun barrel? Why were there 2 particles of gunshot residue on each of his hands, but none on hers? Why had he told multiple stories? First saying he was in the kitchen, later saying maybe he wasn't. Cain's answers faltered. "I don't know," he whispered again and again. "I just don't know." To the jury, his uncertainty sounded less like grief and more like guilt. After 5 days of testimony, the jury filed out to deliberate. The courtroom buzzed with low whispers, the weight of a decision no one wanted to make. Hours later, they returned. The clerk read the verdict aloud. "We, the jury, find the defendant, Cain Wilkins, guilty of second-degree murder." There was no shouting, no gasps, just the deep, heavy silence that always follows justice, or what feels like it. Cain's shoulders collapsed. Across the aisle, Claire's family wept quietly, holding hands. Their daughter would grow up without either parent, one buried, the other behind bars. Weeks later, the courtroom filled again for sentencing. Claire's family spoke first, their words shaking but strong. Her mother described a daughter who lit up every room she entered. Her sister said she still expected to hear her voice on the phone every Sunday. Then Cain stood, wearing the orange jumpsuit that had become his daily uniform. He didn't cry. He didn't plead. He only said, "I never meant for any of this to happen." The judge, Glenn Kelly, looked down at the defendant for a long moment before speaking. "This case is devastating," he said. "There are no winners here, only loss." He weighed the evidence, the conflicting stories, and Cain's lack of criminal history. Then he delivered the sentence, 48 years in prison. Cain would be in his 90s before seeing freedom again. For Claire's family, it wasn't relief, just quiet finality. Justice, perhaps, but never closure. In the months after the trial, people remembered Clarissa Wilkins not for the headlines, but for her heart. Co-workers at Dollar Tree spoke of her kindness, how she'd bring coffee for everyone on early shifts. Friends remembered how much she adored her daughter, how every plan circled around family. To them, she wasn't just a victim. She was sunshine wrapped in laughter, and she deserved more than the story that took her life. For a while, Denver moved on. The case faded from the news. The snow melted, seasons changed, and the apartment on Albion Street filled with new tenants who knew nothing about what had happened in that bedroom. But in 2022, 4 years later, the silence broke again. It began quietly, a filing in the Colorado Court of Appeals. Cain Wilkins' defense team argued that his conviction should be overturned, not because of new evidence, but because of what they called prosecutorial misconduct. They pointed to one moment in closing arguments when the prosecutor had turned toward the jury and said, "You owe it to her daughter to find him guilty." The words hit hard, but in the world of law, they crossed a line, an appeal to emotion, not evidence. A plea that could be seen as unfairly influencing the jury's decision. And so, after reviewing the case, the appellate court made a stunning decision. They overturned the conviction. Cain Wilkins' 48-year sentence was vacated. A new trial was ordered. For Claire's family, the news was like reliving the night all over again. The grief reopened. The uncertainty returned. They'd believed the case was settled, that her killer was behind bars. Now the man convicted of taking her life was free, waiting for another trial. To prosecutors, it felt like a technicality. To the defense, it was justice correcting itself. And to the public, it was confusion. How could a case that seemed so clear unravel so fast? The answer lay in those same haunting questions that had followed the case from day one. Was the screaming heard before or after the shot? Did Cain hide the gun to cover his crime, or to keep it away from anyone else in his drunken panic? And what about the outline on Claire's palm, the blank patch shaped like a handgun grip? Had she been holding the gun after all? The evidence, as one judge noted, was conflicting and inconclusive. Freedom and waiting. In August 2023, 5 years after his conviction, Cain Wilkins walked out of prison, not exonerated, not free forever, just free for now. He was granted release while awaiting retrial. No date has been set. No one knows if it ever will. For Claire's family, it's an open wound that time refuses to close. They still see her smile in photographs, still hear her laugh in old videos. And every time the phone rings from an unknown number, they brace themselves. afraid it might be another update about the man they once called family. What do you think? Did justice truly prevail, or is there more to the story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe for more jaw-dropping true crime stories. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe, and always look a little deeper. This is True Crime Diaries, where every story has a pulse.